I want you to be able to watch this video and avoid making all the mistakes that I made when I started getting serious about Instagram to grow my brand and my business. Specifically, I'm sharing 8 rookie mistakes that you want to avoid. Stay with me. I'm Pallen, a brand strategist. Welcome to my channel where I promise practical advice to build your brand. Today I'm talking all about Instagram, and these are things that you need to avoid doing if you want to grow on this platform. Now, before we dive into it, my Instagram growth checklist explains exactly how to spend your time on the platform to grow, linked in the description below, totally free. My way of saying thanks for hanging out with me today. Rookie mistake number 1, focusing on hashtags instead of keyword-rich captions. Hashtags matter less than ever before on Instagram. Let me explain. I'll explain by heading over to my friend Marketing Harry's profile, where he recently has been talking lots about this. I look to him for lots of inspiration when it comes to Instagram growth. He's talking recently about how to grow with Instagram SEO, search engine optimization, typically associated with websites, but very much a part of Instagram strategy as well. Very important if you're a beginner, it's not all about hashtags anymore. And I quote what he says here, they're not what they used to be. He recommends instead of jamming your caption or in a comment 30 hashtags, which you're allowed, instead focus on 3 to 5 that are highly relevant, and instead use some of the other SEO features available to you like alt text, just best tips, profile headline and handle, as well as your captions. This is really important. Instagram is looking now more at the context of your post. So what you're describing in a caption to be able to categorize it and serve it to other people, more so than it is on hashtags. Just jamming your post full of hashtags isn't going to help you get in front of the right audience. So certainly thinking more about SEO instead of hashtags, that's definitely not a beginner move. Another rookie mistake that I see people often making is how they focus their time on the platform. We get caught up in creating, but actually there's something far more important. So for this example, I'm actually going to pull up the freebie that I mentioned at the top of this video. This actually outlines all of the things you should be doing beyond creating content. If you want to grow on Instagram, you have to do more than just create content. You actually need to carve out time to engage. So this list will tell you specifically what you need to do. For example, for 15 minutes, every Instagram hour that you have, engage 5 commenters on a recent post of 5 large accounts that you follow. So you would look at the top, strike up conversation by agreeing with a point, laughing at a joke, asking a question, finding some way to connect. That's 15 minutes of your time. Then you would go and watch and reply to 10 stories of accounts you don't follow. That's a good way to strike up conversation. Supporting people within your circles. So we recommend, having 10 plus small accounts that you follow and showing them some love. That's how you build really loyal brand, advocates and super fans. That also has compounding effect. It's friends of theirs will learn and find out about you, maybe through collaborations, etc. You also want to, in terms of engagement, engage with 5 accounts from niche hashtags, or niche, however you pronounce it, and locations. So this is relevant if you have a brick and mortar business, or even just, finding other people within your space. It's the most important lesson here is not so much the minute by minute breakdown, but it's actually carving out time to engage and not just create content thinking that by creating it and posting it, your audience is just going to land on it. You have to actually work hard to bring people to it. Well, we've covered engagement. While we're at it, let's talk about consistency. You knew I was going to bring it up. Let's rip the Band-Aid quickly. I realize this is not the most exciting topic in the world, but it's one that's really important. Unlike a lot of my colleagues that are Instagram experts and maybe full-time creators, they post daily. I actually do not prioritize Instagram as my primary social media platform. For me, YouTube is actually more important than Instagram. I don't have the time to post every day on Instagram, so I commit to 2 to 3 times a week on average is what I'm able to do. Now, that's still consistency. That still counts as consistency, right? I don't show up as much as others, but I do put thoughtful, posts out, and I like to have some fun, and I like to switch up the types of content that I create. That still counts as consistency. So rather than, showing up 6 times in 1 week and then disappearing for a month, you want to aim for whatever cadence you can handle. So that could be 2, 3, 4 times a week. Fantastic. Decide, be realistic, and stick with it. That counts as consistency. Let's move on to some advice that might surprise you. Maybe you've heard you need to post reels if you want to grow. And I actually think that's old advice. I'm going to tell you something different. And I'll tell you with a little help from my friend Lucas O'Keefe. I've often talked about him on my channel before. He gives great advice for growth on Instagram, and he's a dear friend of mine. I love this post that he did recently, which is basically telling you that reels is not his favorite content format. It's not mine either. He actually loves carousel posts, and you're seeing why in action. Sharing information, teachable, not having to put your face on in a photo or video. Sharing value enables you to get more followers, more conversions, more engagement, and it's easier to create if you follow a certain format, and you can build this template on your own the more you create. Point being, you don't have to just create reels to be successful on Instagram. That's not relevant advice anymore. You basically choose the vertical or the content type that you like the most and create more of it. So instead of just posting reels, try this next tip on for size. My friend Daniela is going to help me explain this next one. She had a post that I thought of when thinking about this rookie mistake that I think is a good reference here. She says the hidden purpose of Instagram formats. So some of these might be obvious to you, but I love that she explores the angle that's less obvious, right? So stories, great for starting conversation, adding authenticity or humanizing or converting your brand, building trust. These are certainly accurate. Reels we've talked about, good for raising awareness, more reach, account growth. What about Instagram lives? I have a lot of fun with these. In fact, Danielle and I did one recently when she was on my podcast. I'll link to that in the description below. In fact, she and I did an Instagram live recently. She was on my podcast, and I'll link to that episode in the description below. Single image posts are awesome. This is an example of that, right? No swiping like a carousel. It's a single image post with lots on there to teach you. Finally, carousels we've talked a little bit about, good for conversion, driving conversation, and educating. I am a big fan of creating this. So you really want to choose whichever one is best for you. And most importantly, don't just choose one of these. If I were you, especially trying to avoid some rookie mistakes, you want to try all of these. Go ahead and try absolutely all of these to see which ones you enjoy creating and which ones your audience enjoy consuming. Okay, we're getting close to finishing our list. 2 more items. The next one might be something that you skip when you go to post, but it's really important not to. By this stage, when you're ready to post on Instagram, a feed post, so you would enter your caption up here. We talked about that. Make sure it's full of keywords and it's relevant, describing the content that you're posting. But there are a few things you do not want to skip over. So for example, we click advanced settings down here. Down at the bottom, accessibility is really easy to skip over this by the time you want to post, right? You're like ready to put the post out into the world. But here you want to take a few extra seconds and write some alt text, really meant for accessibility, but also doubles as a good SEO strategy or tool to just give some description. So in this case, it would be a slides that explore the new verification process on Instagram. And I can elaborate on this further, but the idea is you are explaining what's happening in the image for someone who can't maybe see it, visual impairment, or you're also taking advantage of this opportunity to attach descriptor text to your post. Don't skip over this. As well, adding captions or subtitles to your content is a really good way for people to consume your content if they don't have volume or if they're limited in what they can hear. Finally, a total rookie move to round off our list is this last one to do with hyperlinks. They belong in one of 2 places only. That's right. Now, this first place is your hyperlink available in your profile. So you can have a hyperlink on your profile. Some people will put their website. I prefer to change this link sometimes daily or every few days, depending on what I'm talking about in my stories and my feed posts. I find it to be a little bit easier to actually mention in the caption, link in bio, and direct them over to this link. I feel like if this link stays the same all the time, right, there's not really much motivation for people to keep coming back for more. So I like to increase the number of clicks on my profile, which helps overall by changing that link frequently. So that is the first place. Now, if we were to go hop over to stories, let's say, okay, so this is today's story. So if I'm going to go actually create a new one, I'll click the plus sign. Say I'm going to post about my Stream Deck. That's what this is. I could go ahead and add a link in my story. This is going to be the second place to put your URL. You would type in the URL here. So it could be, I don't know, philp.al/ and then I could put the link here. I'll put the link to my freebie, which is that. Now I can also customize the sticker text. So this could be download, right? It could be, there we go. I'll click done. And then I've got that link. What you don't want to do is put a big long hyperlink in Instagram caption, right? People cannot click it here. So the most you would want to say in this caption is link in bio today. That's often what I say to make it specific. So if I click over here, you'll see an example of this. Link in bio today. See it right there in the middle? And then of course I change that periodically so it keeps it exciting. One of two places, your profile or in stories using the link sticker, nowhere else. There you go, my list of 8 mistakes that beginners make. If I pointed out anything that surprises you, let me know in the comments below. As well, if you found anything particularly useful or anything you think I forgot to mention on this list, go ahead and share. That's useful for others. I respond to those comments personally, by the way. Don't forget to check out my free download, my Instagram growth checklist, which breaks down the perfect hour spent on Instagram to grow. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. That helps other people discover these videos, which we work hard to create for you. And subscribe for more of my videos on branding, positioning, building, and promoting your brand. Next, I'm sharing a few videos that I think you'll be interested in. I'm Pallen. Thanks for watching. Those are coming up next.